Today is Saturday, July 9th, 2016, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you'll also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you are listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. Now a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job search workshops as well as a one-on-one job search bootcamp. For more information, go to bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is the high quality resume writing company of certified resume writers, starting at just $35. You can find them online at resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. And be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you're thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunity? Career Oyster is here to help. The latest resources, unique strategies, personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto: the world is your oyster, be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome as usual. 5 minutes before I'm going the air, everything went crazy. Before I get into this week's show, the elephant in the room is the violence that we're seeing in our country this week. Started with two black men who were killed on video, unfortunately, by police, and then it has spread to now where we have 5 cops in Dallas killed. Wait, I'm trying to set up. I tell you, everything went crazy. I'm trying to do the social media part of this show right now, and I apologize. So we're on Facebook. We are on Facebook Live now too. But anyway, this week we had a lot of violence in this country that was racially based. As I said, we had 2 black men who were killed on video by police. And then in retaliation for that, apparently, a sniper in Dallas, Texas, shot 11 people, but killed 5 policemen. My heart goes out to all of those people. In post, right now you should be seeing the names of the people who were killed, all 5 of them, or 7 of them. For those of you who don't know, who don't watch the video, I'm a black man. And I'll be honest, there are times when I've gone out driving and passed a police officer, and I've been scared. People can say, well, that's not realistic if you're not doing anything wrong. That's not it. There are people who have been killed by mistake, by police. I'm not saying all police are bad. I have friends who are policemen. I totally and 150% support law enforcement. That's not to say all police are bad, just like all men of color or women of color are bad. But we have a race problem in this country, and we have to acknowledge it. We have that. I couldn't do this week's show without at least acknowledging that and sending my prayers out to all the families of the 2 men who were killed, as well as the 5 police officers. My prayers go to you and your family, to us as a nation. We are coming up on a serious turning point in this country with respect to who we are, with respect to race relations and so many other things. I know this show is not about that, but sometimes you have to acknowledge when there is when we have something that's bad. I just pray for all the families involved. I pray for the witnesses. I pray for us as a nation. So I just felt I had to say that, and I apologize for taking the time to do so in this venue, but. My Facebook feed has been blowing up, and some of you probably seen some of the things I've said. My feelings on this whole thing. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. When I was thinking about talking about this morning, I really didn't know what I was going to say, and I still don't. I didn't want to write anything down. But we just have to. We got to come together better. Under the skin, we are all the same. No matter where we're from, no matter what language we speak, no matter what we look like, we are all the same. And we need to come together. If nobody else will, we need to come together. So I just want to say that. Now, on to, I guess, more positive things. This week's show, first of all, thank you everybody on Facebook Live who's tuning in. This week's show, the topic is, or this month, for the new listeners, this is the Bunny Slippers Evil Talk Job Seekers Call-In show. Every month this year, I'm trying to do a different theme. This month's theme is taking a chance. So the 3 shows we'll do the rest of this month will all be about taking chances in your job search. And today, and I have notes, today's topic in taking chance is in the interviews. It's about taking chances in your interview. Tell you a story. I had an interview, and the best interview I ever had was a panel interview where I had literally about 10 to 12 people around a table and me sitting in the middle of the room. Yeah, it was intense. And on the spot, they started introducing themselves one by one, and introduce themselves and tell what they do. And I mean, maybe they think, yeah, he's remembering all this, who each of us is and what we do. I wasn't. I know, And as they was going through the names, I said, okay, how can I impress these people? And I took a chance. And what I did was, as they introduced themselves, I spoke their name. And then when the next one introduced himself, I spoke the name. And in my head, I repeated the first name of the first person to interview, and then the second person, and third person, as they went around the table introducing themselves and what they did. I'll be totally honest. I was not remembering a thing about what they did, because I was counting on, they'll say, well, he can't remember all of this, so we won't have a problem reminding him. But what I did want to remember were their first names. It was a trick. It was a point. I'm not going to lie. It was a dirty, sneaky trick. But when they finished and they got to the last person, and I said, okay, let me see if I got this straight. And, for the last 3 or 4 minutes, I had been going through their names in my head, Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice and Joe and Bib and Bob and whoever. And I said, let me make sure I got your names right. And I just, boom, 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 boom. So long as nobody switched seats, I was good. And I went around the table and gave all their first names. And said, I got to the last one and said, is that correct? And the reaction, if you've ever seen 12 people stunned, and I mean literally looking at me like, right then, and I mean I got the job, but I can honestly say right then, and I talked to one of them later after I was hired, and maybe 6 months later, and they reminded me of my interview, and they said, you had us. When you did that, you had us. There was nothing else you had to say. You had us. It was a sneaky trick. I didn't plan it. It was one of those tricks of desperation. When you find yourself in a situation where you're all of a sudden you're dealing with something that you just don't know. You're in a situation and it's like, okay, how do I win this crowd over? And I did it. And it was sneaky. I'll be the first one to admit, but it worked. And at the end of the day, that's really all you care about. Does it work? So, so let's talk about taking chances in interviews. Now, and then tricks of interviews. Now, one thing people don't do, and what I try to do in an interview now, and I've talked to people that they don't do it, is take notes when the person is telling you about the job or about the company or about anything that they're looking for. I don't see a problem in pulling out a notebook and taking notes, which says to me, it says to the person that you really are interested in what I'm saying. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then the first thing you do is ask the question, do you mind if I take notes? I'll go back to, my good friend and he's often on the show is Howard Caddy. He's been on the show a couple of times. Oh, by the way, if the show looks kind of different, yeah, I'm trying it in another studio. But I'm broadcasting from another room in my house because I'm trying to get a better Wi-Fi reception so that Facebook Live will not fall off as it did last week. So I haven't got my seat straight yet, so that's why I'm kind of hunched over looking here. So I apologize for that. But anyway, my friend Howard Caddy, who's been on the show several times, and one thing he's always mentioned is, always told us is, in an interview, he did a 4-hour workshop, and I've talked about that workshop many times. But he said, take charge. And it makes sense because when people interview, most people go into an interview as a interrogation. They go there, they sit, and they are they're acting very reactive versus proactive. And Howard's thoughts is be proactive. Okay, approach your interview in a way that you can take charge. And that might seem crazy, but here's how you do it. First thing you say is when you sit down after you said hello and done your introduction and everything, when they say, tell me about yourself, and you give them your canned response, then you ask them, before we get started on this interview, would you mind telling me what the 4 or 5 things a person has to do in this position to be a successful candidate, I'll say, however you want to word it. But basically you're asking them, what is it that you're looking for? That's really what you're asking them. Because most people who will tell you, who've interviewed people, is that the job description and the real job have nothing to do with each other. What's in the job description is usually what HR said we had to write for legal purposes. But it's usually, how many people have you gotten on a job, and you said, wait a minute, what did they tell me this job was versus what is this job? Okay? So ask them that question. It seems crazy, but if you think about it for a minute, you're asking them, tell me what it is you want, what you really want out of the person who fills this role. And 9 times out of 8, they will tell you. They will tell you exactly what they're looking for. Okay, they will tell you. I need somebody like this. They will often, and I've done this a few times, and more times than not, they've said, I'm glad you asked. Because it gives them, kind of carte blanche, I guess, to go off script, to talk about what they really want to talk about versus talking about just what the questions that HR told them to ask. Yeah, they may get to those questions later, what color is your brain and all that kind of weird stuff. But by that time, you will have a chance to win them over because you will have answered their real questions. The other reason to do this, there's 2 reasons to do this. One is to find out what they want and get your thoughts together. And again, if you're taking notes, they say, well, the person needs to do boom, boom, boom. And you write down boom, boom, boom. And then you can address those questions. You can address those skills that they're looking for. You can address what it is that they are actually looking for instead of trying to interpret it. But the other reason is you may find out that the job is really not what you want to do. You know, I found that out. I had an interview, a phone interview, and it was for a job in another state. It would have been about an hour and a half ride across the state line every day for this job. But I'm glad in the initial phone interview, I asked that question about what is it that you are looking for. And when the person told me, I was thinking, he just laid out 7 things. I've only heard of 5 of them. I only match up remotely to 2 of them. This was not in a job description. And I did my best to address them, and I told them I don't have experience in this or this. I was happier. I was happy to find that out on the phone in Georgia versus finding that out in Atlanta. I mean, in Alabama, after driving 2 hours to a job interview. So you ask the question, what is it you're looking for? And that's really what you're asking. And they will tell you exactly what it is. As Howard says, they will tell you what keeps them up at night. They will tell you what their pain points are. And understand this, if you're a hiring manager, you want somebody to make your pain go away. Yeah, that's in the bottom line. You want somebody to make the pain go away. Okay? So what you do is you ask them what their pain points are, and then they will tell you. And once they tell you, then you just answer those questions. You just address those things. If you've been writing your notes, you have the 3 of them, and 3 or 4 or 5, however many points they give you, however many things they say, this is what we want this person to do. And you just answer those things. Okay? And because you've written them down, you can check them off as you go down. That becomes a totally different conversation. Okay, that's totally different conversation than tell me about this job. Tell me about this job. You know, as I always say, job search is like dating. And think about it. When you meet somebody you're interested in, is the first thing you tell them about all the people you dated? Think about that. But that's what we do in job search. You know, we have an interview, and the first thing we do is tell the people all about other places we worked. You know, care about where you worked. You know, what can you do for me? So this is your chance to tell them what you can do for them. So that's one thing. That's one thing you can do. Take a chance is take control of the interview. Now, again, after you've gone through all the good questions that you wanted to answer, maybe at the end of it, they will come back and say, well, I have to ask these questions for HR. Yeah, they have to ask them. There's no right or wrong answer to those questions. Again, what color is your brain? If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? You know, what's your favorite rock band? I mean, weird stuff. They're asking those questions because HR is making them ask them questions. But at that point, they probably already made up their mind about you because you have addressed their needs. Okay? If you don't do that, you know, think about how how the interview goes. They ask you a question about this job, this job, this job, this job. And then you get up and leave. Thank you, have a good day, and I hope to hear from you soon. And then they have to go back and interpret what you said to what they want. If you ask them what they want, there's no room for interpretation anymore. They will tell you what they want, and you can answer it. Okay? The best thing in the world, and you know it's hard as it is to hear when you didn't get the job, but you'd rather hear or you'd rather know as you leave out of the interview that you didn't get the job. You'd rather know that this is not a good fit for me, so then you can move on with your life. You know, yes, you want the job, but if you didn't get the job, what's worse than not getting the job is not finding out you didn't get the job for 2 weeks, during which time you thinking you had the job and you've been relaxing, and then find out, oh no, I was not a good match for that at all. So that's one thing you need to do is take control of the interview process. Take control of the interview. I'm trying to get through all my notes before the time is up. I got about 10 minutes left. Okay. I said take notes. Pump yourself up. You know, we see movies where, you know, the guy's in the mirror talking about, I'm the man, you know, pumping and flexing and this and that. Do that. Do all that stuff. Before you go into the interview, when you leave out that morning, look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm good. You know, tell yourself, I'm awesome. Tell yourself all that corny stuff that you see people in the movies do, because it gets your mind in the right place. You know, you walk into an interview, the last thing you want to do is walk into an interview with a defeatist attitude, you know, afraid, you know, that Yeah, you may have been out of work for a year. Your family may be about to get evicted. All that stuff. But if you walk into an interview and beg for a job, you probably won't get it. If you walk into an interview with the attitude that please help me, and look desperate, chances are you're not going to get the job. Okay, and at the end of the day, that is the goal: is to get the job. But pump yourself up. Tell yourself you're good. Tell yourself you're strong. Tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself. But tell yourself those things, okay, before you go to the interview, okay? Get your attitude right. Be positive. Be confident. Not arrogant, but be confident in your skills and your background and how you can best fill the need that they have. So be positive, okay? Eat right. Don't eat anything that'll give you gas. I'm not a dietitian, but we all know there's some things, me, I can't go to Taco Bell anymore because it goes right through me. I'll let you visualize that for yourself. But I don't go to Taco Bell anymore. And I'm definitely not going before an interview. Okay? Eat a piece of fruit. Because the worst thing also is sitting in the meeting with your stomach grumbling. Okay? It's not a good thing, because then you start focusing on that and you start trying to quiet it. You all have done that when you sit there, you try to suck your stomach in and quiet it. You don't want to have that happen in an interview. So eat a piece of fruit. Eat, drink, don't overeat. Don't eat garlic. Yeah, sometimes you got to tell people stuff. Don't eat garlic. But get your eat on before you go to the interview, okay? I said, pump yourself up, believe in yourself. Remember, that is very important. Walk in with confidence. If you walk in not believing that you are viable as a potential employee, it comes through. Take it back to dating. Guys, you see a young lady you like, you're attracted to, you want to get to know her or introduce yourself. What do? You stand in the room. Oh yeah, ladies, I'm gonna give y'all some little secrets. Before we talk to y'all, this is the kind of stuff we do. Like, yeah, I'm the man. And your boys tell you the man. Yeah, go for it, man, go for it. That's what we do. Before you interview, do that because you gotta believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. Just like when you do a presentation. First couple of times I did this podcast, so long ago, scared to death. What was I scared of? I don't know. Scared of looking stupid? I don't know. Scared of sounding stupid? But you fake it till you make it. If everybody heard that term, you fake it till you make it. Okay? But fake it if you got to. Okay? But be confident. Believe in yourself. Be ready in the interview if an opportunity presents itself. The story I told earlier about how I memorized, it was about 12 people, how I memorized all their names. Didn't matter what they did because I made the calculation that the interview was not going to get that specific about, okay, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Tell us what we do. But memorizing their names, I figured it was a good parlor trick. And that's literally what it was. It was a parlor trick. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Haven't done it since because I haven't been on a panel interview since. But, it was an opportunity. It presented itself. I didn't expect it. I didn't plan for it. I didn't know it was going to happen. But when it happened, I took advantage of it. It was a risk. It worked. Here's a really important tip. Remember that you are also interviewing them. Remember that. Okay? Go in there with that attitude that I need to find out if this is a good fit. Okay? You don't want to work someplace where you're not going to get along with people. You're not going to work someplace where you don't believe in the company, where you have all kinds of issues with the company. You don't want to work someplace where you're not going to be valued. Okay? You don't want to work someplace where your boss demeans you. You don't want to work someplace like that. You're interviewing them as well. Remember that. Okay, this has got to be a mutual agreement. Again, taking it back to dating. Just because A woman likes you or a man likes you doesn't mean you have to date them. It has to be mutual. Remember that. This interview process is the same thing. It has to be mutual attraction. It has to be mutually beneficial. It has to be something where both sides are getting something from it. Okay? They have a job, but you have your skills. Don't forget that. You are interviewing them also. Okay? You have to come see if you can come to an agreement on what you'll be doing, an agreement on what they want, an agreement on the atmosphere, the pay, whatever. But you're coming to an agreement. You're not just, oh gosh. Oh, somebody asked me a question. What kinds of questions do you ask in an interview? The one thing I wonder about is diversity in staff, but that's a touchy subject. And this is one of my family members. Hey, fam. What questions do you ask? You ask questions about things that are important to you. Does the company hire internally? Do they do most of their hiring internally? What is the job culture like? How does the boss feel about work at home? I'm in a situation now where I can work from home 3 days a week. Ask that if that's important to you. The questions it really depend on what is important to you. The questions about, well, how's the company doing? Things like that, I would say you don't want to ask because those things are pretty much available in Google. Diversity, there's ways to find out about the diversity, particularly when you walk in the office for the interview. Look around. If you see, I work for a company and we merged with somebody else, and I'm not lying. Okay, I'll tell you, it was when I worked for Aetna. When I worked for Aetna way back when, and we were merged with U.S. Healthcare. And I remember going down to Bluebell, Pennsylvania for a meeting. The first time I went there, where we were sitting was on a floor with maybe 100 people. And I am not exaggerating. There were 98 women on this floor and 2 guys. Okay? And those 2 guys were both managers. And all the women on that floor were between the ages of 22 and 26. And they all had on heels. It was like, are you kidding? Told us a lot. Well, I wasn't interviewing, but that's what I saw. If you observe, you just observe a lot, you will know, you can see a lot about, particularly about diversity. Diversity definitely is a touchy subject, and there's no real good answer for it because every company you ask will tell you the same thing. We support diversity, blah, blah, blah. Go on to their company website before the interview. You want to know about diversity? Look and see how many minorities, women are on the senior in senior management. Okay, that probably will tell you a lot more about the diversity than the person you're interviewing with. But you definitely, I know that's a question you want to ask. But if you're a person of color and you're having an interview, chances are they are open to diversity. Now, will they be 50-50? Probably not. It also depends on every pocket of the company is different. Say if a company says we have 30% minorities, they don't have 30% in every department. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do, because I got a few more things, I'm probably going to keep this the Facebook Live going for a few more minutes after the show ends because I got a time limit on the show. So I'm going to keep it going because I can. But anyway, but yes, as far as on diversity, that's it's hard to ask. But the questions you want to ask really are the things that are important to you. Is work at home a possibility? Okay, are those those are the things that are important to you? Is working at home? How do they feel about work family life balance? They technically can't ask you about your family situation, but there are ways around a lot of those things. Hope that answered the question, T. Thanks, fam. We're going to end the show online, but I'm going to, I don't have any more questions on Facebook, so I'll probably end it there too. But again, remember you're interviewing them. Be confident. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. So everybody, wow, that went quick. I'm going to end this. Thank you for tuning in. We will talk again next week. Everybody have a great week. And be sure to check out the video of this as well. If you didn't see it live, I'm putting a video and I'll have all the some other little things in there. So take care, everybody, and we will talk soon. And bye-bye.